Welcome to my channel Adhyan with Flow. So let's start with digestion of food. Let's start with digestion of food. I'm explaining here, guys. Whatever writing here and here also, I'm explaining here by the flow chart. Now, firstly, we know that we take a food by the mouth part, and mouth part, the food goes towards the buccal cavity and the oral cavity. What happen in buccal cavity and oral cavity with this food? Buccal cavity contain teeth, tongue, and salivary glands. And salivary glands, they use for chewing, they use for making bolus, and they secrete saliva. We previously discussed that salivary glands present in three pair in number: parotid, maxillary, and sublingual. Clear, guys? Now, what is the ability of saliva? What is the ability of saliva? Salivary glands secrete some enzymes. They break starch into maltose with the help of salivary amylase. With the help of salivary amylase, they convert starch into maltose. This is the complex form of food, and this is the simple form of food. So, next process is now food taken by esophagus. Now, esophagus show some movement. We call it as a peristalsis movement. Due to peristalsis movement, food, we can say bolus, moves towards stomach. Now let's start with stomach. What things happening in stomach? After reaching in stomach, this food face three kind of glands. They face three kind of glands. They face mucus gland, they face chief cell, they face oxyntic cells. We can say partial cells. So what mucus will do? Mucus secreted by neck cells. Mucus secreted by neck cells. They give food to lubricancy. Now, chief cells means peptic and pepsinogen secreted by chief cell. What they do? They break down the protein. They break protein. Okay. Now, next cell is oxyntic cell. What they do? They absorption of vitamin B12 by oxyntic cells. So mucus secreted by neck cell, peptic juice secreted by chief cell, and vitamin B12 absorption occurred by oxyntic cells. Now this bolus convert into chyme. Now what happened with chyme? And then chyme face multiple enzymes, and then chymes face multiple enzymes like pepsin, some proteases, breakdown of proteins, same, some peptones also, they all break protein. And now some glands secrete HCl. What they do? They decay the small unnecessary particles, and their pH is 1.8, highly acidic. Some gastric juice secrete renin. I say renin. This is a hormone. No, this is the enzyme. If I use renin, then this is the hormone. Like this is the enzyme. What they do? They break milk protein. And now some enzymes like lipase, they break lipid molecules. Now they face some bile juice secreted by gallbladder, liver. They helping in digestion of food. Why? Because they contain some pigments like bile juice like biliverdin, bilirubin. They're helpful in digestion as well as excretion. Okay, now pancreatic juice coming from pancreas, what they do, they activate all kind of enzyme, activate all enzymes. Before digestion, all kind of enzymes present in their inactive form, like trypsinogens, like chymotrypsinogens, peroxypeptases, amylase, lipase and nuclease, they present in our inactive form. But after secretion of pancreatic juice, they active, means trypsin activated by enterokinase, they secreted by mucosa cell. So pancreatic juice activate all kind of enzymes. Now some bile juice also release in duodenum contain bile juice pigment, we can say bilirubin and biliverdin. Some bile salts, cholesterol and phospholipid, what they help, they helps in emulsification of fat, breakdown of fat, because very necessary, fat breakdown is very necessary. So bile, what they do, they activate lipase. If lipase is activated, then lipid break. Lipid break means fat break, means carbohydrate break. Some intestinal, now food goes towards small intestinal. Now some goblet cells secrete mucus. Okay, some intestinal juice also helpful in breakdown of food, like disaccharides. Like disaccharides, this is the enzyme. This is the enzyme, guys. Look at here, disaccharides. This is the enzyme. Dipeptidase, this is the enzyme. Lipases, this is the enzymes. And nucleosidases, this is the also enzyme. What they do, they break saccharides. What they do, they break peptides bond. What they do, they break the lipid molecules. What they do, they break nucleic acids. Nucleic acid. So this is the function of intestinal mucosal glands. Okay, now submucosal glands like Berners gland also help in this. We know now our alimentary canal made up with serosa, muscularis, submucosa and mucosa. So mucosa layer, this is also a glandular layer because they secrete enzyme helping in digestion. Submucosal cell, they also work as a glandular cell, they also help in digestion. And this serosa and muscular cell, they make muscles, they give strengthening to the muscles, guys. Next, move further. There are some enzymes, guys. There are some enzymes. Look at here. This is the simple form and this is the complex form. Isn't it? No. I'm reversing this thing. No, guys, no. Not at all. This is protein. This is the complex form, beta. This is the complex form. And protein breakdown into dipeptides. This is the simple form. Be attentive, guys. And dipeptides also further break down into amino acid. This is the simplest form of protein, guys. This is the absorbing form of protein. This is the absorbing form of protein. Be attentive, guys. Be attentive. So complex molecule like protein break down with the help of trypsin, chymotrypsin, carboxypeptidase into which molecule? Dipeptidase. Also peptones also break by this enzyme. Proteases means breakdown of proteins, they also break down by this enzyme. They are very important, guys. Important. Remember this thing. Which enzymes break down which thing. Now let's towards polysaccharide. This is the complex form, and complex form digested into their simple form. So this is the simple form. So polysaccharides break down into disaccharides. Disaccharides break down into monosaccharides. Now polysaccharides changes into disaccharide. Which kind of enzyme will helpful? Amylase. We know now, we study about salivary and amylase. Here, look at here, guys. Salivary enzyme amylase. Look at here. What they do? They break starch into maltose. Okay. Same thing is here. Starch will break down into disaccharides. Means maltose. Simple form. This is the absorbing form. This is the absorbing form. But this is not absorbing form. Now fat. What happened with fat? Fat breakdown. This is the complex form. This is the complex form. Fat breakdown into disaccharides, diglycerides. So fat breakdown into their simplest form. What is the name of their simplest form? Important guys, important, very important, be specific. So fat break down into diglyceride with the help of lipases, and diglycerides further break down into monoglyceraldehyde. Di-mono, clear guys? Triglyceride. We have triglyceride also guys. We have triglycerides, diglycerides, monoglycerides. Don't worry. Now, this time for nucleic acid. Who break down nucleic acid? Pancreatic juice. Remember this thing. Remember guys, this chart is very important. Nucleic acid is breakdown into nucleotides. Nucleotides is breakdown into nucleoside with the help of nucleases. This is the simple form. This is not a absorbing form. This is not a part of digestion guys. We normally study that where nucleic acid break down. Which kind of enzyme break the nucleic acid? What is nucleic acid guys? We know now. We all study about DNA, RNA. If you're not a study, I told you. DNA, RNA, they made up with what? They made up with nucleotide. Nucleotide, same. Nucleotide made up with nucleoside. And composition of nucleoside is, they contain guys. The DNA contain what thing? Both. Same guys, same. DNA contain phosphate group, sugar, pentose sugar, and what? Nitrogen base, adenine, guanine, cytosine, thymine. So this is the further simplest form, but this is not a part of digestion. Now some enzyme like dipeptidase break down dipeptides into amino acid. Listen to me guys, this is very important. Protein break down into peptides break down into amino acids. This is very important. DNA, nucleic acid, this is the nucleic acid. This is break down into nucleotide break down into nucleoside. Nucleotide made up with three parts: nitrogen base, sugar group means pentose sugar, and phosphate group. Okay, if we remove phosphate then it converts into nucleoside. This same thing contained by RNA also guys, don't worry. Maltose break down into glucose with the help of maltase. Lactose break down into glucose by the help of lactase. Sucrose break down into glucose and fructose by the help of sucrase. This is again important. Now nucleotides, nucleosides, sugar and base. If we remove phosphate group then we can call it as a nucleoside. Now di and monoglyceride further we want to break down. We use lipase and they convert into fatty acid and glycerol. We can say monoglyceride, diglyceride, triglyceride, and we want to break this triglyceride. We found fatty acids and glycerol. So this is the overall mechanism of digestion of food. This is the whole mechanism of digestion of food guys. You have to remember this enzyme. You have to, if you want to score in this part, you should remember this thing. I don't know guys, this is nothing is simple guys, and here is no can form mnemonics. Okay, so no shortcut guys, don't use any kind of shortcut. Remember this thing. Now absorption of some water and minerals and certain drugs by whom? Large intestine. Because stomach function digestion, liver function is digestion, pancreas function is digestion, small intestine function is digestion. Now this is time for absorption of water. This is the function of large intestine. Now what kind of another function is large intestine? Is secretion of mucus which help in adhering the waste. Definitely the end part of large intestine is rectum. Now the undigested unabsorbed substances called it as a fecal. They enter into cecum and they throughout the body by the anus. Okay guys, the activities of gastrointestinal tract are under neural and hormonal control for proper coordination of different parts. Clear guys? The sight, smell and or presence of food in oral cavity can stimulate or secretion of saliva. Means this is the important facts guys. Then you should remember, this is not important. Some gastric and intestinal secretion are also similarly stimulated by neural. This is the facts guys. Then which things control? Neural thing control. Because when we take food, when we engulf food, then this process in our control. But after engulfing the food, the digestion processes occur, the absorption processes occur. This is not in our control. This is not in our control. This is the neural mechanism. So guys, that's all for now. Let's meet in our next video. If you don't subscribe my channel, then please subscribe Adhyan with Flow, where you can explore your knowledge. Thank you for listening me, for giving me such a time. Keep smiling and keep revising and revising. Thank you.